This is one of the most underrated Samsung phones you'll come across. I'm talking about the Samsung Galaxy M55s, a device that launched about a year ago and quietly slipped under the radar while packing a lot of value. Unlike the newer models dominating 2025 like the Galaxy A26, Tecno Camon 40 Pro, Infinix Note 50 Pro, or even the Redmi Note 14 Pro 4G, this phone doesn't get talked about nearly as much. But it holds its own against them, and in some cases, it might even be the better pick. But nobody talks about it. Classic Samsung move. Make a solid phone or feature, then forget to tell anyone why they should care. Let's talk about how this thing feels in your hand. It is surprisingly light, which could be good or bad depending on how you look at it. The lightweight makes it comfortable for extended use, but also contributes to that budget feel that's hard to shake. I'm going to be straight with you. This phone looks and feels cheap. The materials, the finish, the overall construction is not fooling anyone into thinking it's a premium device. But here's the thing. If you're like most people and you're going to slap a case on it anyway, does it really matter? Probably not. Now, I'm usually the guy who likes to go naked or caseless, as some of you would say, because I like feeling the actual phone that I paid for. But with the M55s, get a case. The back design is, let's call it uninspiring. It just doesn't turn me on. What makes it worse is that the phone lacks an official IP rating for dust and water resistance, and that's kind of strange because we're at a point where even the most budget $80 phones are coming with some level of splash protection. So right away you can see that the build quality is one of the first compromises Samsung made with this phone, but it's one of the only two major ones. But the story changes when you flip the phone over to the front, because the display is where the M55s redeems itself. It's a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED panel with a 120Hz refresh rate, and it honestly looks fantastic. Colors really pop off the screen, blacks are deep and punchy, and with its crisp 1080p resolution, everything feels sharp and detailed. That high refresh rate makes a big difference too. Whether scrolling through social media or playing games, or just watching videos, the smoothness is immediately noticeable. On top of that, the brightness levels are solid, so you won't be struggling to see your screen even at direct sunlight. To put it simply, there's nothing to complain about here. The display feels premium, fluid, and well above what you'd expect from a phone that doesn't carry a premium price tag. When it comes to performance, the Galaxy M55s actually punches above its weight. It is powered by the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1, which might sound a little dated since it launched back in 2022, but don't let that fool you. This chipset is still a beast in the budget space. In fact, compared to what you'd find in competing phones around this price, it is easily the best option. Day-to-day performance is solid, multitasking is smooth, apps launch quickly, and you can game without major hiccups. It is not flagship fast, but it's more than adequate. Plus, you get 5G, which is nice to have, and even if you don't think you need it right now. The phone pairs that processor with 8GB of RAM, which really helps with keeping apps alive in the background, and you can choose between 128GB or 256GB of internal storage. This particular model, priced at $230, gives you the full 256GB, which is plenty for most people. There's a microSD slot too, but honestly, with 256GB on board, I wouldn't bother. SD cards are slower than internal storage, and 256GB should handle your apps, photos, and offline Netflix downloads just fine. Now let's talk about cameras, because this is another area where the M55s impresses for the price point. You're getting a quad camera setup on the back, headlined by a 50MP main sensor, an 8MP ultrawide, and yes, a pretty much useless 2MP macro lens that you'll probably never touch. On the front though, Samsung drops in a 50MP selfie shooter, which is a nice surprise. The results across the board are solid. Photos come out sharp, colors look vibrant, and the detail is very respectable. For videos, you can shoot up to 4K at 30fps, and the footage comes out stable and very usable, which isn't always a given at this price. Overall, the camera system is more than capable for everyday use, whether you are snapping selfies, capturing landscapes, or filming content. For what you're paying, there's honestly nothing to complain about here. It delivers well above expectations. On the software side, the Galaxy M55s is in a pretty good place. It has already received the Android 15 update, and Samsung promises support all the way up to Android 18, plus an extra year of security patches after that. That's a solid 3 years of major updates, longer than your current relationship will last, and it's more than enough for most people who don't plan to keep a phone forever. And with Samsung software, you're not missing out on any of the features that make their devices fun and practical to use. From multitasking tools to customization options, it's all here. Day to day, the software feels reliable and straightforward. It's not doing anything groundbreaking, but it gives you a consistent and enjoyable user experience, which is exactly what you want in a mid-range phone. Battery life though is where things get a little more complicated. The Galaxy M55s packs a 5000 mAh cell, which sounds perfectly fine until you remember that its predecessor, the Galaxy M54, actually had a larger 6000 mAh battery. So on paper, this feels like a downgrade. That said, in rural use, the 5000 mAh capacity is still good enough to get you through the day without much worry. It's not going to blow you away, but it won't leave you frustrated either. The bigger issue, however, is heat. This is the second major trade-off with this phone. It does tend to get warmer than usual during heavy use, more so than what feels acceptable, and I noticed the same with the Galaxy A35. But the good news is, it is not extreme or unmanageable, but it's definitely there. Charging speeds help a little bit here. The phone supports 45W fast charging, which is the fastest Samsung currently offers. That means you can top up fairly quickly, but in typical Samsung fashion, you don't actually get the charger in the box. And to make things feel even more like a tease, the box is actually bigger than usual, giving you the impression that there's a charger inside when there isn't. It almost feels like a bit of trickery, and it's the kind of move that frustrates buyers who just want everything they need right out of the box. I know because it frustrated me. The Samsung Galaxy M55s at the end of the day is a very good phone that doesn't quite get the recognition it deserves. It nails the essentials: an excellent display, capable cameras, solid performance, and a smooth software experience, all while keeping the price very affordable. Sure, it has its flaws, like a design that doesn't exactly scream premium and a heating issue that pops up under heavy use, but neither of those feel like deal breakers in the bigger picture. For what you're paying, it's a solid, reliable option that I'd personally pick over a lot of newer phones at the same price. The real question is, would you consider it though?